This presentation will focus on the Raritan River and how it was a key factor to many of the events that occurred throughout the Revolutionary War that, without the river, may have resulted in America still being under British rule to this day. The presentation was originally made by James Spinelli for a class at Rutgers. Pictured in this slide is a map of New Jersey showing the Raritan River Basin in yellow with the Raritan River and its north and south branch in blue. The area surrounding the main branch of the Raritan River, highlighted in blue, is where most of the events in this presentation will be. The events of the Revolutionary War that took place along the Raritan River occurred in Middlesex, Mercer, Monmouth, and Somerset counties. The Raritan River was an important geographic feature with its topographic characteristics and the ecology along its banks. This presentation will be focusing on the various battles and skirmishes that took place within the Raritan Basin. Landing Lane Bridge was erected in 1772, and it was the location of a skirmish led by General George Washington against General Charles Cornwallis. In order to prevent the British from crossing the river, George Washington ordered the bridge destroyed by fire. This plan was ineffective as the bridge was only partially burned, allowing Cornwallis to launch a quick attack that forced Washington and his men to retreat. This bridge then was used as a gathering point for the British. Upon the Continental's winning of the war, George Washington returned to Landing Lane to march with his troops across the bridge to celebrate their victory. Landing Lane Bridge is still in existence and accessible to this day. Connecting New Brunswick to Piscataway, it is next to Johnson Park. It is one of several sites where visitors can see an area where a battle of the Revolutionary War took place. The role the Raritan River had in the war was more than acting as a physical dividing line. The environment surrounding the Raritan River, including its riverbanks and the area immediately beyond, had a huge influence on battles. At the time of the Revolutionary War, New Jersey was heavily forested. This benefited the Continentals because they used guerrilla warfare fighting tactics. It involved hiding behind trees and sneaking up on the enemy. This differed dramatically from the straight-line formation fighting that the British traditionally used and expected. By using the trees and other foliage to their advantage, the Continentals could make a few men seem like many. This played a significant role in winning the war. Much of this area, particularly surrounding New Brunswick, is less forested now due to the construction of buildings and roads. During the winter months after the Battle of Trenton in 1776, which marked the turning point of the war, another battle took place in Princeton. It was there that the Continental troops helped to push out the British from New Jersey. Led by General George Washington, his troops moved against General Cornwallis's troops before the British could make the first move. The Continentals were able to avoid being encircled by the British and won the battle. Another battle that utilized the Raritan River was the Battle of Bound Brook, which was led by the British. General Cornwallis directed Hessian soldier Johann Ewald to make a plan that would avenge previous British losses. The attack was planned to take place at dawn on April 13, 1777. They strategized that the two groups would attack from the southeast with cannon, while another would attack from the west. A fourth group would work to prevent the Continental Army's escape. The prime objective of the battle was to capture General Benjamin Lincoln at Van Horn House. British soldiers would cross the Raritan at its most shallow points, using stealth to sneak up on the unsuspecting troops stationed on the other side. This attack was largely a success for the British due to the stealth and surprise tactics achieved with the help of Hessian troops. The British nearly captured the general, but instead their soldiers drove off the rebels. Following the victory, the British chose to retreat to New Brunswick. They would later flee the area after being defeated at the Battle of Short Hills. The Battle of Monmouth, which took place on June 28, 1778, was the largest one-day battle of the war. The battle began with General George Washington's orders to General Charles Lee to harass the British using a small force of men while he led the rest of the troops to Valley Forge. General Lee did as ordered until he eventually fled with his men. When General George Washington heard of General Lee's retreat, he was angered at the news. He left Valley Forge with his troops along with leaders Anthony Wayne, Lord Stirling, and Nathaniel Greene to fight the British and General Cornwallis. After much bloodshed, the British retreated into the night, leaving the Continentals victorious. Here are some resources you might want to read. Thank you for your attention.